If you're a business owner, offer owner, practitioner, marketer, and you have a business, why do you need to know about succession planning? How can this help you? And why is this probably one of the most important conversations you can have? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan coming to you live from Consulting Secrets on a perfect day to talk about business and a fantastic day to talk about succession planning. I'm coming to you live from the Sacramento Delta. All right, so I want to go over a couple of concepts with you when it comes to succession planning. If you're over 50 years old, or you're under 50 years old and you have a successful business, you absolutely positively have to have some sort of plan in place. And I have nothing to sell you at this moment, right? Just take this for what it's worth. I've lived through this and I want to give you my view of my wishes. This is my wish list, but this also comes from consulting, okay? So when somebody of leadership passes or becomes incapacitated, passes, we understand what that means. Incapacitated, they have a stroke, they have an aneurysm, they get in a boat accident, car accident, bicycle accident, motorcycle accident, and they can no longer manage or run a business. There's got to be some sort of plan in place. There's got to be something that you know as the succession, as the person who's stepping in, as part of the family, as part of the management, that has got to get done. And grief brain is real. Grief brain is this. When somebody passes, you are not thinking clearly, and the closer they are to you or the more important they are to you, the less clarity that you have. So if you've got both eyes and you've got good vision, grief brain does this. So if you could make a good decision and this is your full line of sight, grief brain can cover up one side of the vision or the other side of the vision, and it creates a ton of problems. Things that you wouldn't do otherwise, you say yes to under duress, because that's what it is. And when you're under duress, the wolves and the vampires come out. The wolves and the vampires are not good people. They are people that you might have thought were your friends, and they're not. The wolves and the vampire are the people after an easy score. And unfortunately, women who have never had to run a business, the wolves and the vampires come out in droves. Like, for real. When my dad passed 7 years ago, I saw this happen. So I want to give you 5 different points of things that you can do to prepare. Please get some help today, whoever it may be. Find somebody trusted, an attorney, an accountant, confidant in the business, and have some sort of succession planning, okay? So, like, for real, I've got nothing to sell you today. Nothing to sell. But have a thesis of what your investments are. So when my dad passed 7 years ago, 8 years ago, my dad was a brilliant man. My dad had financial savvy. And so he had life insurance policies, he had annuities, he had CDs, he had money sitting in different places, but he never told anybody what his thesis was. What am I doing with this money? So when my mom had to deal with the wolves and the vampires that came out, and they came out in droves, hey, you should cash this out. Hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do these things. And some of them my mom did, some of them my mom didn't. But there were tons of wolves and there were tons of vampires. And, you know, at the end of the day, we didn't have the mile markers in place to know, hey, these are the actions that, you know, should really be taken. And so if you have a bunch of investments, you have accumulated wealth, there should be somebody there to go, time out. That's not what we're doing. No, you are not chasing commissions. No, we are not moving money. No, we are not restructuring the business. No, we are not firing these people. Okay. So wolves and vampires can be financial planners, attorneys. It could be insurance salespeople. It could be real estate agents. It could be like, okay, anybody that can get a commission from moving money or making a sale. It is what it is. Okay. So with this being said, part A is the business. What are the financials in the business? How do you do things? What's your roadmap? You know, do you pay bills on the 1st? Do you pay bills on the 15th? You know, do you not pay bills on a certain time? These are things that every business runs a little bit differently. There's best practices, don't get me wrong. And then there's the practice that you had. Like, is there a reason why? And these days, day and age, you can literally pull out a cell phone and say, hey, Scott, something happened to me. These are my directives. These are the things that I want you to know. And you could detail a whole bunch of information. You can share a whole bunch of insights. B, what's the financial relationship to the family? Who gets paid what? And how do you decide? This could even fall into commission plans. This can fall into how how people are compensated, or, you know, who in the family you want in the business and who you never want in the business. And this may be time to be like, hey, got to tell you a story about Uncle Bob, right? You're on film. Got to tell you a story about Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob, you may think is trustworthy. Uncle Bob robbed me blind. I never told anybody. Because, like, there's shame in some of that. So sometimes people don't say anything. There's the kids and family. Who gets what? Really, who do you want? At the end of the day, if you got a bunch of kids, a bunch of family, who do you want to run the business? Who do you not want to run the business? If you had the opportunity right now and you could draft 3 operations managers, what would be the criteria? Who would you look for? Who could they be? Right? It could be Jim over here, or Mary over there, or Eddie over there, right? But who would be the people that you could talk to? And then who would be the board of advisors that you would want your family members, your significant other to go to? Some of the people in your family may not have business sense. And so you've built this amazing business, offer, practice, and then there's nobody there. And then at the end of the day, really, who do you identify as the wolves and the vampires? Now, I mentioned, like, sometimes you're like, there's shame, but, like, for real, you know what? You can trust Ed to this point. You can trust Bill to this point, or you do not trust Steve, or you do not trust Mary, whatever name you want to use, okay? But here's my please, plan now. Plan now. I went through this with my mom, and fortunately, most of the time we were able to catch the wolves and vampires. Occasionally they got through. And there's no such thing as 100% wins. I would say we got 70, which was freaking good. But I was there, and there was other people there for my mom. It wasn't just me, right? But please, for the love of everything, if you have a successful business, if you are over 50 years old, if you've got means, succession planning is a tough conversation. I'm going to let you know that this entire process will probably take you all in for what you need to do about 3 business days. Now, if you're talking to professionals, lawyers, accountants, and the people with all the initials behind their names, they're going to have time set aside. They're going to work on a project, and then they're going to come back to it. You might have a couple of hours here and a couple of hours there to validate. But, you know, your last wish of how you want things to go if you're successful, or even if you got a small business, you're not so successful. Like, take the time to go through this process now. Take the time so that you could avoid the wolves and the vampire. Take the time so that, you know, you're not letting people into the business who should have never been there. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button. Click on it. And every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, for real, share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.